Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Space Swatching. Today we're going to do another granulating paint for this space swatching. It's sort of a mauve-y pink galaxy that's really pretty. So the colors I'm using today are Payne's Gray, Rose of Ultramarine, and then I'm going to add some touch-ups for the lightest color from Pastel Dreams by Prima Marketing. I'm going to use the crimson color right there, that kind of darkish pink right there is the color I'm going to use for the lightest color. So as I mentioned in previous videos, granulating paints add some really interesting textures to watercolor paintings. The pigments clump together as they dry and just create some really lovely, interesting effects that you can only get really with watercolor paints. So I'm going to come in with my Payne's Gray first, right at the top, fairly dark. And then I'm going to come in with my Rose of Ultramarine underneath that. As usual, I'm using my number 4 brush, and I'm using another piece of scrap paper. I'm not sure if it is Canson or Strathmore, but one of those student grade colors. So Rose of Ultramarine is almost like a really light purple, and then this crimson color is very warm, almost has some peachish sort of undertones. So it's a nice one to kind of brighten up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to let that layer dry, and then I will come back with layer number 2 in a minute. Okay, so let's check out layer 1 and think about what we want to do for layer 2. So you can kind of see that granulation from the Rose of Ultramarine. There's just like a little bit of, it's almost like a bluish sort of color that you get from the granulation there, which is lovely. So let's go ahead and think about what we want to do for layer 2. Right here, this pink area is pretty boring, a big blotch there. So I want to make sure that we deal with that. We want our darker area on top, maybe a little bit bigger. All right, so I'll come in first with my Payne's Gray on top and get that up there in some places. And then come in with my Rose of Ultramarine. And put that right on top. We need to get some more Payne's Gray because that rose pushed right up into, you know, kind of what I'm sort of feeling right now is like I might need a little bit more blue in with this Rose of Ultramarine. So I'm just going to pull, I have a little bit of extra blue here. I just want a little bit of blue to peek out in some places here. That'll make it maybe just a little more interesting there. And then I'm going to come through and pull that out. That's nice. And now maybe instead of the crimson, I think I'm going to come in with this lighter pink from that palette right down here. and see what that does. Not too much here. It's kind of like a milky sort of consistency, almost if you got it thick enough, like a gouache almost, which is kind of interesting. All right, well, that might have been a failed experiment, but we try, we see what happens. We don't like it, we don't do it again. All right, putting a little bit more Rose of Ultramarine in there. Maybe come in with a little bit more of that crimson, that darker pink from that palette in there. Yeah, it's all right. All right, clean off my brush. Get those hard lines out. All right, actually that looks kind of nice. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry, see if we need a layer 3. All right, we're ready for layer 3. I'm definitely going to need it. The Payne's Gray is pretty dark. I'm not gonna do anything else with that, so no more Payne's Gray, but I am gonna add some more Rose of Ultramarine to kind of get some of those harder lines to blend out a little bit. Let's see, and we're just gonna add it right on top over everything here. And blend it out. Come in with a little bit more. I liked that lighter of the pinks, so I am going to add a little bit more of that down here. I really, you know, it seems kind of counterintuitive, but I really do love the pastels palette for getting some, when we're doing these galaxy swatches that fade out into white paper. It's a really nice ending color to fade into the white, these pastel colors. So I actually do end up using the colors quite a bit when I want to lighten things up a little bit in some areas. And I like that lighter pink. The name of it is Rose, I believe. Yep, Rose from that palette. That lighter pink has a little bit more orangey or peachiness to it, and I like it. It kind of brightens it up a little bit, like there's some yellow stars or something behind it. So I really liked that. So there is that layer 3 finished. We'll let it dry, see what it does, if it needs a layer 4. All right, on to another layer because I'm not loving it. So we'll go one more layer. I'm going to add a little bit more dark at the top because it didn't come out as much as I wanted to. It looks like too much of a straight line up there. So I'm going to come down with it a little bit. Bring in a little bit more Rose, Ultramarine. A little more Payne's Gray. A little bit more of that crimson. Rose Ultramarine in there. See if we can get a little bit more granulation to happen. I went a little heavy on the paint there, so we'll just spread it out a little bit. Come in with my paper towel. Pull out some of that a little bit. And I'll come in with a little bit more of that rose pink. Oops, there was still some Payne's Gray. And I don't like that. Clean your brush. There we go. A little more rose there. I guess I have Rose of Ultramarine and rose as a color, so I should be specific. Ooh, crimson looks jarring there. So I'm finding I think I like that rose color better than the crimson as the blended color. So if I were to do this again, I would do rose, I think, instead of crimson. Although the crimson kind of in the background kind of gives a nice pop to it. Let's make this a little... like this. There we go. I will let that dry, see what it looks like. Hopefully I won't need another layer, but if I do, I'll do another. All right, this one is dry and done. I'm liking where this is at. Looks really pretty. Got a chunk of paint right there, you can kind of see. But yeah, I'm liking it. This is another example of one that I did that only was 3 layers. And again, I like that one better. But you know, everyone's going to be a little bit different. Again, this color combo is really pretty. We did Payne's Gray and then Rose of Ultramarine and then a couple of the pinks from the Art Philosophy Pastels color palette. So thank you for another month on Patreon, everyone. Have a good day.